morning and welcome to yet another edition of the Price Review right here on Luntha Television. And today you are joined by Helbert Kadanda, and I'm with my colleague
Palace Jazombe.
Alright, as usual we have the Nation newspaper and the Daily Times newspapers, so we are going to assess the happenings pertaining to what the papers have carried. And to begin with the Nation newspaper, on the front page there is a story which talks about farmers and the president, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. Partly, the story says farmers take on Chakwera, and of course that's the headline. And part of the story says President Lazarus Chakwera yesterday had a rude awakening when some tobacco growers told him in the face that they were getting a raw deal due to low prices for the leaf. During the president's tour of the Lilongwe auction flows at Kanengo, where he officially opened the 2023 tobacco marketing season, Kasungu-based grower Nsaywali Zagalia said farmers wanted the market suspended to resolve the issue of prices. Well, that's one of the issues that happened yesterday. The farmers told Chakwera that they are not getting proper deals on the fertilizer. They were saying that there are some companies that give them contracts and they give them loans and also inspect their tobacco fields, so that whenever the time has come for them to sell the fertilizer, the leaf is sold under the companies. So there are some people who just do the growing on their own. So these are the farmers who auction their fertilizer, their tobacco. So it's like they are saying that in those deals, the companies which give them loans and that give them deals, they are affiliated to government. So they say that's why their tobacco is the first to be sold on the market. And the auction tobacco, they say, no, you haven't done justice on
they say maybe the tobacco is of poor quality and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they say. Normally, that's what they say. So they're complaining that they haven't been getting proper deals from those companies and from government as well. So they were lamenting to the state president that maybe perhaps if the government could have come up with another way of assisting them in terms of prices. I think this is the issue at hand, but I feel like the farmers are right.
Because it's of no use one maybe being a tobacco grower and then not benefiting enough from it.
Yeah.
It's absurd, right?
Yeah, it's really sad. They grow the leaf, and then at the end of the day they are asked to sell it maybe
less from what they are invested in.
Imagine. So what are they gaining from tobacco growing?
Yeah, it's like they're just doing it for other people to benefit, because I also know that when they sell, maybe the money also goes like for the companies who give them the loans and stuff. They also get some from the money they sell from the tobacco. So to them it's just like maybe they're just putting in their time, their energy, and then not even benefiting from it.
And that's what happens. So for me, I think the story of government of companies giving them contracts so that they should sell their tobacco under those companies. I think that's the tricky issue on this matter, because I feel like the farmers, if they were to be selling their tobacco on their own in terms of auctioning, that wouldn't been an issue. But now it's an issue because some farmers opted for contracts with those companies. The types of limber leaf, there is DHL and some sorts of companies that give contracts to these farmers. They give them loans. they give them, maybe, let's say they have given them 500,000 kwaja for them to grow tobacco. So they start the process, they grow the tobacco, and they say, okay, if you sell your tobacco at 600,000 kwaja, and that's automatic, we are going to get 500,000 kwaja from the money. That means you're going to be given 100,000 kwaja,
which is less.
Which is less.
From
So
what you
it's
put
like
into.
yeah, so it's like you go there and you know that I'm selling my leaf at the amount of 600,000 kwaja, yet I will be getting 100,000 kwaja, and the money goes there in their accounts automatically. So they are not benefiting. That's really true. They are not benefiting from growing tobacco. Perhaps this is why people have started saying maybe the tobacco thing, the tobacco market in Malawi isn't favorable to farmers. So that's why we need to find other alternatives. Maybe to curb the exports in the country.
Yeah. Because I believe maybe the tobacco farmers would have been the people who are maybe rich, I would say, who would be the richest people in Malawi. Since tobacco is considered as one of the top crop that we export outside the country.
I think that's most definitely because these companies we are talking about, they are owned by rich people, people who have money. So when they say we have given you 500,000 kwaja, and now we are going to get our money back. But what we do is selling the tobacco maybe with a certain higher price so that they should get interest on it. So it's like maybe if we talk about 500,000 kwaja, they are going to sell the leaf at the amount of 650. For them, they will get 550, and the farmers will get only 100,000 kwaja. That means the farmers are being duped.
Yes,
we cannot run away from that
they're
fact.
being duped in daylight.
All right.
Okay. Moving on the front page of the Daily Times, the headline reads Police in 22 billion kwacha procurement mess, and the subheadline reads 514 million drugs relations bought without parts, and another subheadline reads paid for materials not delivered. Part of the story reads the Malawi Police Service has been caught in a 22 billion kwacha procurement mess, as reviewed in the 2021 National Audit Report. According to the report, Malawi Police tops the list of ministries, departments and agencies caught flouting procurement procedures after implementing activities that were not planned for and approved. The report reveals that the service failed to maintain a procurement and disposal of the assets plan is such that in the absence of such a plan, officials went ahead to procure goods and services valued at 22 billion kwacha. The Procurement and Disposal of the Public Assets Act 2017 Section 39 requires procurement and disposing entities to plan procurement and disposal activities with a view to achieving maximum value from both public expenditures and disposal proceedings, including other objectives set forth in the Act.
Well, what the Daily Times newspaper is trying to say is the National Police Service contravened the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act of 2017. That's Section 39 and the Malawi Constitution. So I think that's obvious. It's pretty obvious that they contravened the law, and some people, the people who were involved, they're supposed to face the law. They're supposed to be made by the law. So now the issue will come again and say, will those who contravene the section be prosecuted
or not?
Will they face the law? Because we are talking of an urgency which is supposed to enforce laws.
Yes.
So
it's very difficult in Malawi.
That's
it's very
it's
difficult.
an irony. I wonder why we say a service, an agency,
Yes.
which is supposed to be on the forefront enforcing the laws,
Yes.
contravening
And then they're
the law.
contravening the law.
Imagine. So who is going to enforce the law onto them? I mean, who is going to act on this issue? Should we
play a
expect an
lot in
action from the
Malawi.
government?
I don't even think that the action is going to be there, or the people maybe they're going to face the law, since they also contravene the law. But then, if you look at it, it's not even in the police department only that maybe they contravene,
most
the law,
definitely,
like the Procurement Act.
Recently we saw there was a a study which reviewed that there a certain amount of money also vanished into thin air. That was at the state residences. You know, so we're talking about big institutions and big departments like these being involved in maze of billions and billions of taxpayers' money. I mean, is that right to a country like Malawi?
It's not. Maybe that money would have been used on something else to benefit the country and poor people in Malawi, because you look at the amount, 22 billion, which is just a lot of money. Maybe they would have been invested in some other things, because even if you look at our hospitals, you go there, maybe you're suffering from a certain disease, and then they tell you you're being diagnosed, and then they'll be like, we don't have that drug, you should go and purchase it in the pharmacy. So like poor people, like people in the villages, they don't even have that kind of money and that amount of money to purchase that kind of drug, and the money that was just being squandered, because it also leads that the money they paid for something, for a service which was not even delivered. That means that we just like lost the money. We just like, it's more like maybe we were duped.
Imagine. So, you pay your taxes, and they tell you a certain amount of money. In this case, we are talking about 22 billion kwacha. 22 billion kwacha just vanished like that into thin air. I mean, would you believe that? Would you believe that? It's obvious, it's pretty obvious that there is someone who, there are some people who are involved in the maze of 22 billion kwacha. It might be either they shared the money or they used the money in other ways.
Yes, in other ways. Or it's obvious they pocketed the money.
Yeah,
yes,
it's pretty obvious.
Yes.
And what we can advise the government is that the law should take its course. Justice must prevail. You know, we've been talking about issues about the urgency, the security agency, the Malawi Police Service for a long time now. There is an issue of food rations. That issue is ongoing now, to the extent that they accused persons, they have been writing the courts that they should stay the case. So they are saying that you know, it's different from the cases we have been seeing. They are saying that they are claiming that some of the witnesses in the case died. You know,
because
it's okay. Yes, we already know that.
Yes.
A person, an accused person in the case died, or Mr. Botomani. He was the police commissioner. Yes, he died, and they are saying that even some of the witnesses died, so the case must be struck out. I mean, yes, of course.
But then the files are there. Yes, they have. Maybe maybe they put it that way, that maybe the witness and then the accused died, and then maybe there is no person to be judged. Or
of course, it's not only him who was accused. There are some people remaining. Two people. Karim, who is an Asian of Malawi, and a Malawian of Asian origin. And there is also Mr. Kajingwe, who is currently alive. So I don't know. It's not like I'm trying to prosecute them that they are wrong, but let the case continue. That's what I'm saying. So this is another issue of 22 billion kwacha, which is believed to have been squandered at the Malawi Police Service. I think it's high time. We need to act on these issues. Yeah.
The Malawian police, full of scandals. They're just Scandals everywhere.
All right, Malusi and JB lobby for total relocation of flood survivors rather, and that's of course the headline of another story which appears on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Partly the story says the two of the country's former presidents, Bakili Malusi and Joyce Banda, wearing hats of Cyclone Freddy goodwill ambassadors, have called for total relocation of people living in disaster-prone areas. And the duo was speaking to the media in Luntha yesterday after a meeting with the Luntha district and council officials and other stakeholders on the post-disaster recovery. And the stakeholders agreed that cyclone survivors living camps must not be allowed to go back and rebuild in the areas such as Sochi and Pingwe Mountains or along riverbanks and other flood-prone areas.
Yeah, it's very true that the people must be relocated. They should not maybe settle there because those places are prone to disasters. So for us, maybe to avoid such scenarios to happen in future, it's better for the people to relocate.
Yeah, but what they normally ask is, do we have elsewhere to go? Because they say yes, we are going to relocate maybe from flood-prone areas, as you put it, but do we have anywhere else to go? If you tell us move from Luntha to elsewhere, where you are going to be maybe at least protected from floods.
Yes.
Where will that place be?
There.
Because all the land it seems like all the land has been sold recently in Malawi. So where are we going to go if you tell us to relocate from these areas?
It's very absurd to find that maybe a lot of lands that were owned by Malawians now, people of Asian origin and the ones owing them.
Yeah,
it's very absurd. You look at it a bit, okay, you people should relocate. Yes, it's a good thing that they relocate.
It's a good thing,
but then that's
to
the
protect
tricky
their
part, like, where will they go?
Yeah. Where are we going to go if you tell us to relocate? Where else are we gonna spend our days at?
I think government should really look into that.
Of course the relocation is necessary. It has to be there, but then there has to be a way. There has to be a way, an initiative to find a place for these people. Don't just tell them, just relocate, find elsewhere to live. Please find the places for them to build their new homes. I think that would be necessary, and that would be fair enough to these flood victims. All right.
Okay, I think we can move on to the business segment.
All right. On one of the business pages in the Nation newspaper has carried a story which talks about Malawi yet to start trading under AFCFTA, and that's of course the headline. There is a sub-headline which says Ministry says MRA working on modalities on tariffs, and that's of course the sub-headline. Partly the story leads Ministry of Trade and Industry says it is in the process of applying for the guided trade initiative under the African Continental Free Trade Area to enable commerciality, meaningful trade. In a written response on Tuesday on the progress of AFCFTA, a market with a combined gross domestic product of 3.3 US dollars trillion. The ministry's spokesperson Maisom Sogela said they delayed because the offer was sent back from Malawi Revenue Authority to work on the technicalities on tariffs.
I think with that story, you have any comment?
Well, my comment would be it's really a nice development that we start trading under AFCFTA. I think that would really benefit Malawi in the time we are facing the ugly economic environment.
Crisis. Yes, you should put it that way. Economic crisis.
It's really ugly. All right, so I think we should just work on the papers, make sure that we start as soon as possible. Yeah.
It's very important.
All right.
I think we can wrap up. We're looking at the time.
All right, with the interest of time, let's just look at one of the sports stories which appears on the back page of the Nation newspaper, and it says wind of change. Solom approves constitutional review to redefine EXCO roles. Partly, the story says Super League of Malawi Executive Committee has approved a decision by the League's Constitutional Review Committee for an immediate review of its statutes. This follows a meeting of the committee had at the weekend, where, among others, it was resolved that the roles of the executive committee, especially those of the general secretary and treasurer, should be redefined following the move to hire a chief executive officer, an administration and finance manager. Of course, that's about sports. And that also wraps up our today's edition of the Press Review. Remember, you can get the copies at the price of 1,000 kwacha each. The Daily Times and the Nation Times. And the Nation newspaper.
Yes.
I thought there is Times at the, at the end of each and every newspaper. All right. From us, Helbert Karanda and my colleague.
Vales Chizombe.
Good morning once again.